All right, cool. So okay. So we're now in Unit 8, and Unit 8 is salaries and wages. Okay. Uh, it's a fairly easy, or should I say decent, because I think students just don't practice it as much as they should. But otherwise, it is one of those where you should keep your mark. Again, this is a question that is definitely going to come. Usually they ask 20, I'd say 25, 20 marks. Okay, sometimes you can go for 30, but no less than 20. That's for sure. Okay. Um, Here we're basically just looking at the salaries journal and the wages journal. You'll see by the end of this lecture, they are pretty much the same. There's just one slight difference, and I'll share that with you as soon as we get there. So let's hop into Unit 8. Let's hop into Unit 8 and see what it is that they have for us over there. Okay. Now, when it comes to your salary, all right, how much the company pays you. All right. We are, right? Yes. Your gross pay is before deductions, and then your net pay is what will hit your bank account. We're actually going to talk about that just now. But generally, whatever the company is paying you, and that's with the right amount of benefits, it's going to be based on how many hours you work, okay? It's going to be based on whether you have specialized skills or not, all right? And also how rare those skills are. Also, they're going to be looking at training. Do you have training, all right? It's not enough to just have a degree. Do you have training that equips you with the ability to actually exercise those skills that you require? Okay? Then the next thing is experience. How much experience do you have? The more experience you have, the more money you're going to make. Okay? Because the assumption is you are more skilled at what it is that you do. All right? You can bring more value to the business as a result thereof. Okay, that's the assumption. Okay. Then other benefits. Okay. Are there other benefits that the company is affording you? All right. Previous remuneration package. Like you guys will see this as you jump into the stock market. A lot of the time, particularly when you're moving from one company to they will ask, what was your previous remuneration or your previous salary? They'll also ask you, please send us your payslip because they want evidence. Because I can just tell University of Victoria, hey, actually, I was earning 2 million a month as a lecturer. And then obviously, I'm bumping up my previous, remuneration because I want them to either match that or pay me more. Okay? So that's why they'll end up also asking you to send a payslip so they can actually see how much they will actually earn. All right? The reason why they do this is obviously to incentivize you to come work for them, they must either match what you are receiving currently or give you slightly more. Okay, right. Sometimes you might find that they were going to actually pay you double what you were actually receiving. But because they see, actually you're only receiving a million, they'll be like, we'll just give them 1,250,000. All right? So that there's no point there. As businesses, they're not trying to spend more than they really need to. Yeah. So that may sound a bit cool, but that's the reality of it. Then, next thing is risk. Is my life at risk in lecturing students? Is my life at risk going into a mine? How much risk is associated to this particular job or career? All right, if there's risk associated to it, then hey, they are going to need to pay me more. Okay, this is also why CEOs get paid more than your typical other employee within the business. They take on risk, right? If I make a decision as a CEO of a company, all right, and that decision will end horribly wrong, all right, the business could come to a close, all right? So sometimes it's not only about the risk to the individual, sometimes it's the risk associated with the actual role in the company. All right. So because there's so much risk involved, all right, and they need to pay me well so that I obviously am, you know, focused on my duties because my role is so significant that I might not have a business in the market if I'm not able to do that. Then going on, labor law, okay, as you guys should know, in some countries we have what we call minimum wage. So my salary will obviously be influenced by that in that if you can't pay me less than minimum wage. When it comes to certain roles or certain actual job titles, you will see that some some of those professions is actually by law a bracket that you should actually pay them as a result of that. Not everywhere in the world, particularly having in the world, but yeah, that is the case. And that's why by a pay scale you can actually determine that you should be asking your employer as a remuneration package. So look at your experience, look at your qualifications, okay? And finally, we have trade unions. Trade unions will influence your remuneration because they obviously are your mediator between yourself and the company. Okay? They obviously will fight for you whether it's about working conditions or it's literally just about remuneration. Okay? So look at the different aspects that obviously will influence your remuneration package. Now let's go into the different components of your remuneration. Okay. Not into that. And that's right on the next page. So your basic salary for wages, all right? Then there's overtime. Not every company pays overtime, all right? Take note of that. Then you have your yearly bonus. Okay, again, also not every company gives yearly bonuses, and those that do might not do it the same way. You find that some companies will give you a bonus regardless of your performance during the financial year. Okay. What they do is they say they treat it like a 13th check. In other words, they'll pay you your salary twice in December, okay, or whenever that yearly bonus is paid out. Some people only pay at the end of the financial year. So most businesses have financial year end in February, so you might only get the bonus in February. Some people in June, you might get it in June. Right? The company. And different other companies, actually, and one of the companies I was working at, they used to do this. They used to say, okay, how has this employee performed this year? Either you get a 1, or performed really well, or you get a 2, your performance was good, it was alright, average basically, or you get a 3, your performance was bad, right? And if you got a 1, you got double your salary. If you got a 2, you got half. And if you got a 3, you got a quarter. Alright? So it was either one of those. Alright? So that's how we were remunerated. Also, it would be good to have a good relationship with the supervisor. They would be the ones to take it. Obviously, you have a bad relationship. I mean, there's endless amount of reasons why they can justify why you deserve to okay. But let's move on. Then we have your pension fund. This is obviously just, I'm sure we're all familiar with what a pension fund is. It's pretty much just a fund or savings put aside in preparation for your retirement when you're no longer working or able to work to generate income. Provident fund is pretty much the same. The only difference is that when you are of age to actually claim your provident fund, you are entitled to take out a whole lot more than with your pension fund. Okay? Some of you are thinking, definitely going for courses. Sorry, they are no longer available. Okay? And then let's move on. We have medical aid. Okay? So, I'm familiar with medical aid, so this is another deduction that could go off of your remuneration. You have travel allowance, or another amount that would make up your remuneration. You have travel allowance, and then you have car allowance. A travel allowance, they obviously contribute to your movement, particularly for in sales and things to that effect where I need to actually travel in order to get my job done. All right. So what they're saying is that okay, in the interest of time, sometimes they could pitch it from that angle that okay, let's just use your own money to get to wherever you need to go, whether it's buying an air ticket or just renting out a car. What you will then do is that we'll remunerate you for that travel loss. So you know your cost of the month if you want to. And then car allowance will enable you to buy a car. Again, I think that's pretty much basically the same thing. We know you're doing a lot of driving around. You obviously won't want to have two drivers in your own car. So the company is willing to get you a car so that obviously you don't end up having more mileage and more time obviously than wearing out your own car. On top of that, it could be just a plus because you're the CEO or you're part of the board and stuff like that. So they obviously want to, support you with housing allowance, then principle, okay? Maybe also they relocate to Cape Town, for example. And I'm not so keen to relocate. I'm happy here in Jordan, my family's here in Jordan. It's kind of encouraged me to come down and say, don't worry about your rental. Obviously I already have a mortgage, for example, and then for me to then say, relocate to Cape Town is a whole new life that I'm trying to operate and having to do. And then performance bonuses. This is particularly, where they want you to actually perform in a sales role, where they say, okay, if you achieve this amount of sales, we're willing to give you shares, or we're willing to give you this percentage of your yearly salary, right, or income, Or it could be in relation to marketing. And if you guys manage to convert so many users to our brand via your campaigns and initiatives. Okay? We now, for instance, if you look at the grocery market, I know Shopline has a currency, and then of course, you can pay in vendors and so forth and so forth. And I really said, okay, yes, we know that Aqua, we primarily serve the Aqua market, if you want to own more of that whole market. So let's incentivize our market to what's really Okay, so that, in a nutshell, are the different components that make up your remuneration package. Let's move on. Next, we have what we were mentioning earlier: gross earnings and deductions. Okay, so these things that make up your salary are typically the things that they'll be deducted because they don't trust you enough. Give him the money and actually pay for his own medical aid. So they actually deduct. Same principle when it comes to your tax. Okay? Instead of me paying my tax, what you call it to actually take that off of my salary before giving me my salary. Okay? Pension fund, same principle. Okay? Right. So, like we mentioned, just to round this up quickly, like we mentioned, your gross salary is the total that is allocated to you as an employee. All right. Then your net salary is now what will actually hit your bank account. All right. So when you guys are actually going job hunting and going for interviews and all that kind of stuff, when you get to this stage, and usually this is when both parties have agreed that, hey, actually we would like you to join our company. And they'll tell you, okay, so this is the offer that you have to leave. We're willing to pay you X amount every month. You should ask them, is that gross or is that net? Okay? Because That person might be communicating growth, okay? And you might get very excited and very happy about it, but that's not actually how much it's going to be in your bank account. Okay? And as for all us humans do, the moment we hear the words of how much they're going to be paying us, if it excites us actually, already you start budgeting, okay, I can do that, and I can do that, and I can do that. Okay? So take a moment just to ask them, very politely, you don't want to give them the impression you're all about money. Yes, you are, okay? If that goes for the next. Okay, so here it is now we into income tax and PAYE. PAYE stands for pay as you earn. Okay? So taxation takes on various forms and is divided into two main categories. So we spoke about this when we spoke about that. I don't know if you guys remember. But I told you guys that we have direct and we have indirect tax. Okay? Indirect tax is what that is. Okay? Remember, only if I go and buy a textbook will I incur that. Alright? Only if I go and buy a fresh pair of Jordans will I incur that. If I don't go and buy those things, I won't incur that. You see why? That's why it's indirect. Now, direct tax, this could apply to not only people, those who are earning a salary, but also companies. So why is it direct? Why do you term that as direct? Because it's specific. If she earns 2 million, that puts her in a certain tax bracket. All right? And we are going to then tax her based on that tax bracket. Does that make sense? If I only earn 10,000, I'm going to be taxed on that tax bracket. Does that make sense? So it's specific. Likewise, same principle with the company. Based on how much you actually generate as a company, that's how much you're going to pay by way of tax. Okay? That's why we call it direct. Okay. Right. Let's move forward. Right. Then, I'm sure you guys have heard of Adam Smith. He's like the father of economics. All right. And four principles that he highlights in relation to tax that every company or every country should follow. Is that firstly, every citizen who obviously is earning an income should pay tax, right? And this is not, it's not like every single person who's earning something. Because obviously there's a certain threshold, if you're below a certain threshold, you actually don't charge tax. So I think it's about 35,000, right? 35,000 rand per annum can be low. We will charge tax. Anything more than that, then you will start paying. Okay? So yeah, but anyway, the whole point is that the first point is that everybody should pay, all right? And I agree with the certain tax, the certain income level that so I think it's the right thing. But the reason why he's saying everybody should pay is because we all benefit from the infrastructure, right? The roads. We all benefit from government making education available to us. For government making the police defense available to us. Okay? If there were no police, obviously, the country would be safe. Okay? Also things like water and electricity, taxes is what pays for these. We can debate about the mismanagement of things, but yes, that in an ideal world, those are the things that should be catered to by way of each and every one of our tax. Okay? Then, tax must be certain. Okay? You guys, you can't, God cannot come to you and say, I think maybe you should pay a tax of only 10,000. They need to tell you the tax you owe for this year is 10,777 rand 77 cents. Okay? It must be certain. There can't be any ambiguity or any looseness there. Because the person, the individual must know exactly what it's due. Right? Then, tax must be liable at a time or in a manner in which it is most likely to be convenient for the taxpayer to pay it. Okay. So what are they talking about here? And I've used as example that and PAYE. Okay. Pay as you earn. Every single month, they're going to take a portion of that tax off of your salary. They're not going to wait until December when you go and have a good time party and of money to then say you owe us 40,000 for tax. That makes sense. It's not convenient. Right? You guys have waited the whole year, and now you're asking for a huge amount of money from the blue. Okay? It's more convenient for you to ask on a monthly basis. So they'll take a 12% every single month, as opposed to one each month. Some people just wouldn't have the money. They would have drawn the money during the course of the year. Yeah, in terms of that, if you see that at some later stage, you charge you that there and then when you purchase whatever food it is in more profit. Okay? So again, it's not going to be convenient. Then the final point is that tax must be, it should be, the minimum amount possible. Okay. Now the logic behind why he says this is because if we make your taxes very, very high, well, our taxes, let's say our taxes, all of us are going to be sitting down with a tax consultant. How can I avoid? What are the loopholes? Right? Help me out. Now we're all trying to avoid tax. And avoiding tax is legal, by the way. It's tax evasion, right? So avoiding tax is legal, right? Looking for, and when we say avoiding, we're talking about looking for the loopholes and saying, okay, if I employ one of my children, if I use some of my house for business purposes, that will then reduce my taxes. Those little things, okay? If I operate as a consultant as opposed to an employee, that means that I'm paid a commission and not on a salary. Then I can avoid tax. If I make my business carry a whole lot of my expenditure, all right, as opposed to paying it out of my, giving myself a nice flat salary, and then putting myself into a certain tax bracket, then I am reducing what, so I can pay myself 5,000, and then my business takes a whole lot of my expenses. And as a result of the business taking a whole lot of my expenses, that means that its income is a whole lot more reduced. Does that make sense? And the businesses you pay tax on the profit over, well, yeah, the profit, basically, right? In other words, the bottom line. Whereas with the salary, the moment it kicks into my account, I'm paying tax. So I'm paying tax before my expenses. Does that make sense? So it's all small little things that are taxable. Tax evasion is I am due to pay X amount in tax. There's some reason. Anyway, I've looked at that long enough. You guys can ask questions if you want to. Yes. Yeah. They will. That's a good question. Then the next deduction that we have is UIF. As well as UIF before. At the beginning of the whole pandemic, there was a whole lot of consultation, a lot of people saying that UIF is supposed to only be that lost their job. Okay? So now you know exactly what it stands for, unemployment insurance fund. And it's literally insurance for in the event that somebody loses their job, they have, and it's not that significant, but they at least have something kind of fall back on, just as they look for something else. Okay, so that's the function. Now, how do we calculate UIF? You guys are going to see this when you go to it on Friday. You see on Friday. It's 1% deduction from the actual employee, and then the employer contributes 1%. So in total, it's 30% of the UIF remuneration. The UIF remuneration is not necessarily your whole salary in most cases. Let me not say in most cases, in some cases. Right, so that's UIF. All right? Yes. No. Yes, the UIF remuneration. Remember, a lot of the times you will be probably calculating UIF on your whole salary, but sometimes they'll tell you that no, UIF has a limit. Last I think it was 14,000 something. So it'd be 1 cent. Even though I'm earning like let's say 20,000 or 30,000, You might be earning 50,000. All of us, because the maximum is 14,000, is 1% of that. And then the employer, no problem. Not for my salary. 1% will come from my salary, right? This is my contribution, and then 1% will come. Then the next one is we have pension fund contributions, right? So most employees contribute towards the pension. In a lot of the questions they'll say it's a rand for rand, rand for rand. So in other words, if I contribute 5,000, the company will match that with 5,000. Sometimes they'll say that it might not always be rand for rand. The ratio is checked, right? And obviously, you should then be able to calculate how much the company contributes. I have contributed by way of my salary. Okay. But that one is fairly straightforward, fairly simple. Then we have trade unions. Now, trade unions, I'm sure we all know what trade unions are. They're basically mediators. Okay, mediators for us, as they represent us to our employees. If you have any, differences and you guys try to make it, so I know you guys, it's not too much something you see. But if you have any grievances, then obviously the trade unions will represent us and say, our employees, the mining sector are asking for this. All right? And you will not just work until these things happen. Okay? And we will then obviously have a meeting with the trade union within the next day, and they will then say, your employer need 1, 2, 3 things. On this point, however, we are unable to meet you guys. They are also requesting you return to work by this date, and then the people can then be fulfilled. Okay. All right. We could go on and on about that, but I'm sure it's pretty straightforward. Okay. Right. Then, medical aid schemes. All right. I'm sure we are all familiar with what a medical aid is. I'm sure at some point you guys have all used them at some point. All right, when visiting the doctor or getting some treatment. Okay. But now I think what you guys may not know is how they actually work. And that's what I'll just jump into now. Okay. And by the way, your employer may contribute to your medical aid scheme. Okay. So if you have a very good employer, okay. Now, how this thing works is it's like insurance. We are all contributing to a fund. And the fund is just a pool of money. That's what it is. So we're all contributing to that fund, all right? Now what happens is we are all not going to get sick at the same time, all right? So when one of us gets sick, we then use money that has been poured into the fund. Okay? And likewise, when another person at a later point in time, they will then also use the money for that. Depending on your medical aid plan, you can use it to maybe just to see the doctor, maybe if you're admitted, it might not be for medication. If you're on a comprehensive plan, it might also include medication, and so forth and so forth. All right. Your medical aid plan will obviously be very different. So maybe you're on your parents, maybe you are all medical aid that don't have any dependent on it. You may have dependent on it, your family, your wife, your kids, all right. Now, the very important thing to highlight is if you're very old and you haven't been on a medical aid plan, you will pay significantly more because the older you are, the more likely you are to be sick. Okay. And then also when they test you and evaluate you, they'll say, are you a smoker? Do you drink? All those type of questions. They want to assess how healthy are you. What's the likelihood that you're about to get sick? If they see, oh, you smoke, you drink, party, like who knows what, and you already have 1, 2, 3 chronic illnesses, I'm going to be paying more in medical aid than someone my age, but is obviously healthy. Yes. And this is why discovery is so brilliant, at least for the way they came up, because they said how many employees used to work before they obviously came about is they would do part of it. Whereas Discovery has now encouraged you to change your lifestyle so as to then obviously influence how healthy you are. And then obviously try to give you cheaper medical. And how that works out for them is there's multiple payments to the fund, but then there's so they're obviously making more returns off of the medical aid. Yeah. Uh-huh. 100%, and you get coffee and otherwise coffee companies. And also, visits to the gym, how people get in to the gym, and also people, performance. It's also gone on to do the same thing with cars, when you drive. So all these things are, if you're on the water, are tailored at, making you healthier or living healthier, so that you live longer. The longer I live, they may pay you back, but they won't pay back your. That's why you often hear the insurance because it's like you might never use it. So but the thing is, when you have it, and something does happen, like I remember I was in an accident and the car got I did that one time a fire, and the other one I can't for what that. But it was actually not too far from there. Yourself. Yeah, just there. So I don't know what happened. Like somebody was supposed to be cut out on this fastest lane. So I'm not trying to get out of the highway, but I couldn't because there was cars coming on both sides. So anyway, long story short, I ended up stopping the second officer. And yeah, so then and yeah, so I've been this never normally really things happen. Who would have ever thought that example in the acceleration would happen? And possible on. So these things happen. Important life is to actually establish your lifestyle and also what do I actually do. So there's certain things that actually don't do. I can't quite show everything in their house. But there's something that wants to be that so maybe it's just a laptop or they see in their stuff. That's something that so you work, change, every single month. And your credit check is that. So it's really about people. There are people who obviously stuff out there, finding, it's work on those that do need all that kind of stuff. So you need to make it. Yes, very true. So, for example, on that Taylor Swift, J-Lo, yeah, the Taylor Swift, she's put in LA. J-Lo, and I think you all know. All right, so, yes, PPD, by the way, doesn't pay insurance, right? This is something I heard years ago. It doesn't pay insurance, what he does is he buys two of it. So, yeah, all it. All right, so that's medical aid for you. Let's move on. The next one that we have is the skills development levy. Skills development levy, this is not a deduction, by the way. This is something that the employer pays. Don't pay anything towards skills development levy. The employer pays 1% of your skills development levy remuneration. Okay. Notice I said skills development levy, skills development levy remuneration. It's not necessarily your own money. Okay. In most cases it is, but it might not necessarily be your own money. And it's not every employer that actually has to contribute to it. employers that have a salaries and wages that amount to 500,000 or more. Okay, if it's less than 500,000, so in other words, the total wages and salaries, if it's less than 500,000, then you don't need to actually contribute 1% to this skills development levy. The whole purpose of skills development levy, you'll see on the next slide, and you guys can read through for the bullet points, but please take one. It's just so that we can develop the skills of those who are working under. That's the whole purpose, to upskill the working force. Okay? All right. All right. EMP201 return is a declaration, the document that the company fills out and hands over to SARS, submits it to SARS. All right, and what this declaration confirms is that you made payment towards PAYE, in other words, your tax for the employee, for the declaration for every single employee. All right, you've also allocated their SDL, Salary Development Levy, assuming that you actually do that. And then UIF, okay, and then finally EPI, okay. Not every, they don't ask you guys about EPI, really. But EPI, I forgot what it stands for. You can say EPI, EPI deduction or EPI incentive. Okay, primarily, I just want to explain to you all aware of what it is. Employee tax incentive. So here's how it works. If you have learners, people who just graduated from from a certificate, from a diploma, that type of stuff. Okay. So what then happens is government is trying to encourage potential employers to actually hire these people so that they obviously have a job. And then what happens is that government actually refunds you what you have been paying in learners. Okay? So a lot of small, medium enterprises could possibly take advantage. Where it's like, okay, we can see this would benefit us, and then we would have some of you guys come on and do some administrative work, and we be giving them experience, training them, and so that's all right, so you also do this on the EMP201 return. Okay, and in your textbook, there is actually an EMP201 return. I'm going to show it to you so you have a look at what it looks like. But again, they've never actually given you, I haven't seen them ever ask you guys to do this or fill it out. Don't think they ever would. It's there on in my book, so again, we fill out one of these for each employee, every single month. Okay. I'm sure there's automated processes that do this. Okay. All right, last slide. All right. So, I want to take you guys to two different process. There are one for wages and one for salary. Okay, so the first one for wages, I feel on page 243 in my section. This is around there. This is the table, and then the other one I think on 200. Right. So this is just showing us how we arrived at that final stage of actually filling out the EMP201. And in a nutshell, this is the whole process of what we will be doing when we do salaries and wages. Okay. So we start off by completing all information in the salary journal or in the wages journal. Okay, we look at the wages table total cost. You see it complete all information in the wages journal. This is weekly. Okay, this is the one difference that I was talking about earlier between salaries and wages. Wages is typically on a weekly basis or bi-basis, right, in some businesses. particular weekly basis. Salaries is on a monthly basis. That is the end of the month. But now the entries into the journal, whether it's salary or wages, is going to be done at the beginning of the week. All right, which makes sense because as an employee of whatever company, you already know the moment you begin work how much. Next step is to post the salary journal to the general ledger. So much like we've been doing in Unit 4 and 5, you know that you start off in the journal, then you move to the general ledger, okay? Then from there, you make payments and record in cash flow. So initially, we reported that we owe this employee X amount, these are the deductions in respect to this employee. All right, we reported that in the journal. Then we posted that to the ledger as well. And then at the end of the month, we actually make the payment to the employee. All right, assuming they're on a salary. It's the same principle if they're on wages. Okay? If you look there, second step is not posting the wages journal in the general ledger weekly. All right, make net wage payments and report in tax weekly. Because we're making payments every week. Does that make sense? So that's why they exist. Then, post payments to the general ledger. Okay. We reported the payments in the journal, we're posting that also to the journal. Okay. If you go and look in the wages, it says post net wages payments to the general ledger. Alright. And then finally at the end of the month, make all other payments and report in tax. So what they mean there by make all other payments at the end of the month is not like contribution towards UIF, contribution towards PAYE, all those other deductions. Those are still only done on a monthly basis. It's only the wages that are paid out on a weekly basis. And every week, though, we are allocating how much is supposed to go towards the pension or how much is going towards the social fund or how much is going towards whatever other deductions. So we only pay for them. And then if we look at the salary one, after posting to the general ledger the payments, the final that we complete and submit to EMP201 Return. So another declaration that we have paid the employee and we have relevant deductions. Okay? That's your final. And if you look at your wages journal, it's actually the same. Okay? So the only thing that you need to be aware of is that wages is done weekly. We're making payments weekly, as opposed to salaries, we're making payments monthly. And then in the wages journal again, those deductions are taking place on a monthly basis. So that's the only step that you need to do. Okay? And it will make more sense when you actually do. So I think should be done this by next week. I start this week. So we should be Friday to get into it, and then the next two sessions will actually be done with the population. I think. Are there any questions, thoughts, concerns? I'm done from my side. Again, this is simple here for you, but I need to practice, particularly in general lecture. Okay, focus in general lecture. That's the I see a lot of people that seem to struggle. All right, but the struggle is really because of practice. You have to practice those and how to do what you're focused on. And so, if there are no questions, let me check on my student online. Okay.